right, my friends, April 4th, 2023, and this one's hitting a little closer to home. We just had a 6.6 downgraded from nearly a 7.0 earthquake in Panama. As of right now, they're setting this thing at 10 kilometers in depth. That is super shallow, so we know there's going to be many people that felt this on the ground. This is a very large earthquake for this part of the world, and one of the bigger ones we've seen here in a long time. As we zoom into the area, we can see it's just off that southern coast of Panama, that southeastern coast of Costa Rica, right in the water here. Now, this could be offshore enough to where it's not going to affect too many people, but nonetheless, a very large earthquake and a very shallow earthquake. And for something that happened just moments ago with over 116 user reports right now, that is pretty significant. A lot of people felt this earthquake, and keep in mind this was off the coast of Panama. So just imagine this thing being a little closer to land and we'd be dealing with some damage for sure. In fact, we could see some damage from this quake as is. This is definitely being considered a breaking news situation, as a lot of these outlets you're seeing right here are waiting for updates on casualties and or damage. That's how significant of an earthquake this actually was, because there's a lot of population in this part of Panama. We are getting readings anywhere from a 7.1 to that 6.6 downgrade, which we see all the time. But the fact that an earthquake of this size has just struck this area is very significant. It's very close to home. All we got to do is jump about 75 miles inward and we're basically in the Caribbean Ocean, and if big enough, could cause a wave. Thank God this one didn't, but it's just a strong reminder that at any given moment we could have something so close to home where we're used to seeing these big earthquakes in other parts of the world, and now seeing this one pop up right here after a long week of large earthquakes, it is not something to take lightly. In fact, I want to jump right in here and see what kind of population we're looking at in this part of Panama off the coast. We can see right here was the epicenter of the earthquake, but as we move up, you can see this place is littered with population. A lot of people live on the coastlines of southern Panama. So to see the fact that we've already had 116 reports is no surprise. That's probably going to rise up into the higher hundreds, possibly even thousands of people feeling this quake. And once new information comes in, I will not be surprised if this quake was felt all the way in areas of Jamaica, maybe even Cuba, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico even. We got some of those bands extending out into even Florida, especially with how shallow this quake was. A default depth of 10 kilometers, which means they know it's shallow. They just don't know how quite shallow it was yet. In fact, we've had one adjustment here on the USGS. They are now saying it's 13 kilometers in depth. That's probably going to be their set depth for this event. That means we are looking at about a 7 to 8 mile in-depth earthquake. Also, keep in mind, just over the last day and a half, remember this one up here in Russia we talked about 1 day and 20 hours ago. We had the Philippines region getting hit with that 6.2 about 10 hours ago, and then way over here by one of the biggest tsunamis we ever had in the history of mankind. 1 day and 8 hours ago, a 6.4 taking place. So now we are dealing with an earthquake on the eastern Pacific Ocean side. And again, the reason this is rare is because most of the large earthquakes we see are the ones that come down by Argentina and Chile, those very large earthquakes. In fact, one of the largest earthquakes we ever saw took place in Chile. It was about a 9.1, 9.2. This was a long time ago, but just to give you a reference of how strong this fault line is that runs down the west side of South America and absolutely connects to that fault line that comes up through Panama and Nicaragua, and then that west side of Mexico all the way up through the Baja region, and then the San Andreas fault line, and you could just keep going and going and going all the way through Alaska. Once again, these are just preliminary reports. Again, this was downgraded from a 7.1, so I'm assuming this was larger than a 6.3. You always have to go up a little bit higher than what they adjust them to, and that's just been my experience with reading these user reports and what people felt. It's usually a lot larger than what they say it is. I'm sure you will be hearing a lot about this earthquake in the coming hours, and once again, until we get more information, my friends, that's what I got for you. I want to get this information out as soon as possible, but this earthquake is one of the bigger ones we've seen, at least close to home when it comes to the United States. And again, we're talking about 75 miles of land before we would reach into the Atlantic Ocean as opposed to the Pacific Ocean. So that alone should show some concern about what we're seeing as far as the uptick in seismic activity, not just on the west coast of the Pacific, but now showing signs on the the east coast of the Pacific. All right, everybody, I will keep you posted on this situation as time goes on. Please leave comments down below if you hear any other updated news about this situation. I'll be updating on Twitter and or jump back on here for another video if we talk about any sort of damage or loss of life, which I hope we do not have to speak about. All right, my friends, I appreciate each and every one of you. Shout out to Canada. I'll keep you posted, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye. Stop right there, my friends. If you have not already, click that subscribe button and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Click all and you will get all notifications from this channel. And trust me, you won't be disappointed.